So it's Patrick. You're seeing me with different hair, but that's okay. Uh, but I'm back with a new video talking about how things have been with Cabenuva. It's been 2 years on using this long-acting injectable medication for managing my HIV, and I want to talk a little bit more about what's going well, what's not going quite well, and giving advice that that has been helpful to me, and also just talking through a little bit more about long-acting injectables for HIV related treatment and PrEP, and my full thoughts about it, and what I say to haters or naysayers about this awesome way to either prevent HIV or manage HIV. So let's get into it in a moment, but it's good to see you again, and I'm happy to be here. And thanks so much for your patience. It's just been so busy. Let's get into it.
How have how has it been? It's been about 2 years since I started Cabenuva, and for those who don't know, Cabenuva is an injectable, long-acting injectable that's used for HIV treatment. A medication out of Cabenuva, it's called cabotegravir, is used for medication that's called Apretude, and that is for prevention. It's for PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. So I've been on the medication, two medications that I have injected into me, and I've been on that for 2 years now. With this medication, I go in every 2 year, every I go in 2 months, every 2 months to have those injections done. Outside of that, I will see my provider, and that's where I was tripping myself up. But I will see my provider when I go in for like regular visits, if I'm having like vaccines done or STI screening or anything like that. I'll have that done outside of those 2 months if needed and when needed. But I haven't for the most part in the past year, so I've mostly just been going for my injections. Essentially, I have been going for my injections every 2 months, and then I see my provider maybe twice a month for just general follow up. A nurse is the one, like a registered nurse, a RN, is the person that does my injections. So they will schedule them and then meet me uh, and take care of those injections and offer STI testing or anything else that I may need during those visits that don't require a clinician. And I'll tell you, that's been going well. I've been doing those. I've been doing injectable treatment for my HIV for 2 years now. I've made every single appointment, haven't missed one yet, and haven't had any side effects or issues outside of the injection site pain that I talked about in my first video. And even now, nearing and being near 2 years, I can honestly say that usually my injection site pain is really minimal. Like literally the day I get the injection, I may feel it, and then right after that, I'm fine. And so that's a difference. But I will say one of the things that I talked through to with my nurse that does the injection is where the injection site was at. So what they did was they went a little bit back a little bit more where they usually do the Z Track app. They went a little bit more back towards my butt. And it's still a good space to do that injection. And I found that that has been really helpful. And so I would say, like, if you're still having injection site pain and it's been a long time, talk with your provider or the nurse that's giving that treatment, that injectable treatment, to see if you can move your injection site around to find the space that works best for you. I think in my first video about Cabenuva, I talked about how I used to stretch before those appointments and kind of ground myself. To be honest, I don't really do that anymore, and I say that because a lot of times I'm running into the office to get that injection during lunchtime to head back to work. I think what's made Cabenuva successful for me is that in Minnesota, a lot of, especially like in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, in the more downtown areas, you have sky bridges. So basically, they're bridges that link from one building to another. So the building that I work in has a sky bridge that leads right into the place where I basically go see my provider. And so literally, I can take a long lunch, maybe starting like 11 o'clock, or take an early lunch, and then run over to my provider's office, get my injections, run over to the hospital cafeteria, grab some food, and then quickly make my way back to work. And so usually I am able to do that really quickly. I recognize that if I worked anywhere else, it probably would be a lot more barriers tied to getting these injections done every 2 months, just because I'd have to probably take off a couple of hours and park at the place I'm getting it done at, and then go in and wait, and then get my parking validated and go out and maybe have a longer drive time before I could get back to work compared to like walking over 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes to get back to the office. So that I think has been helpful to my success is that where I work is uniquely close to the place where I get my injection. I think another pro is that it's I've been adherent as long as I'm adherent to my appointments, I'm adherent to my medication, right? So as long as I make those appointments to get my injections, that's the medication I need, right? To stay undetectable, and we all know that undetectable means untransmissible. So that has been helpful as well, being able to uh, solely be focused on making my appointments and less focused on daily adherence to my HIV meds. I think on the flip side of that, the barriers have been like with my other medications. So I take a statin, I take metformin because I am pre-diabetic, and I take my medication for my depression and my anxiety. And so because of not needing to take my HIV medication every day, I've in some weird way have begun to deprioritize my other medication I need to take, and that's been harder for adherence. And I've literally gone back to taking. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I've literally gone back to pill containers like pill carriers because I still have to take my the cyclovir, the blue pill, because I do have what's called malarious meningitis, and if I'm stressed or I have like a HSV2 breakout, literally I end up getting like meningitis. Long story short, you can watch another video where I talk about that a little bit more. My statin, metformin, I have some allergy meds in here too, and then my meds for my depression and anxiety. So, I have to really go back to this and like have it at work and I've had to set some reminders to be adherent to the pills. I think the big thing was, for me, when I was diagnosed with HIV, it was drilled into my head so many times that, taking this medication will like ensure that you stay alive. And for me, that was a big thing was the adherence to my HIV meds. And now that that's gone, these other suckers that like were mutually benefiting from me being adherent to my oral HIV meds no longer, which no longer exists, now makes me have to focus my thoughts on like, my A1C and my, malarious meningitis or my cholesterol or, my anxiety and depression. And so I'm having to rewire my brain and it's taking longer. And so I would say usually I'm about 60% adherent, 70% adherent, 60 or 70% adherent to my oral meds. Weekends are a lot harder because I sleep in, I forget, and then so that's where I'm struggling at now the most. And I think that's a con of injectable for me. And it may be different for others, but for me, because I take other meds, I tend to forget that they're there because I, have deprogrammed the need to take them every day because of the injectable meds, which was like the highest on my hierarchy of needs. So that's a big piece. And I think for me, what I've been doing is setting alarms. I take these in my book bag. I make sure I have snacks at work because some of these they recommend that you take with food or they tell you to take with food. And so yeah, that's been my journey so far with Cabenuva. I think at this point, at 2 years, I don't have, again, like I said, very, very little side effects. The benefit is that I focus in on being adherent to my actual appointments I need to attend. And then ultimately, the challenge that I have is just the adherence to the other meds that are tied to my health. Other than that, things have been going well. I'm still trying to get on this fitness train. I go into school full time, being a new supervisor where I'm working at, and more importantly, just honestly, just like deprioritizing my physical health and really focusing more on my mental health uh, has really led to me not necessarily working out as much as I can. And so it's a journey I've been still trying my hardest, but I really am confident that I will get there and begin to start working out. And it's about baby steps and also just being adherent, like kind of with your meds, right? Like being adherent and uh, building just a routine where it's normalized. And so that's what's happening. I'm working myself up to getting physically fit, and but in the meantime, summer's going to get the body that it's going to get. It is what it is. But how are you doing? For those that are taking Cabenuva, how are things going? What are your tips for others to stay really successful on Cabenuva? Please share in the comments below. For those that are taking Apertude for prep, like how's that been going for you? What are your pieces and how to stay successful on Aptitude, please share. I want this to be a space where we can really share our best practices and our pain points and just give each other love and support because, there's pros and cons to long acting injectables. So one of the things that I also want to recognize is that in my job, a lot of people complain and like bitch about like prep and especially more specifically like long acting injectables and want to push things like 211. And listen, y'all, like the studies say, like, granted, like certain medications aren't for everybody, right? So like even pills, like there's certain like pill modalities of like HIV meds that are just not going to be successful for others. Like some people still take like 2 or 3 HIV meds a day, and that's their thing. It's fine. While others can't, they're more successful on you know their HIV meds being like in one. Some people can't take those. Some people have to take multiple meds. So it's not just the same as like long acting injectable, as the same as it is with oral pills. It's not for everyone. There's just pros and cons. And I think the thing is, though, is that the studies show that long acting injectables are more superior. They're successful. And granted, like their breakthrough infections, and what that means is like some people who are on aptitude for long acting injectables, there were some folks in studies that ended up like seroconverting and acquiring HIV, and there's more information that needs to be fleshed out to better understand that. But in the meantime, there are less people when taking long acting injectables who acquired HIV. And when I say uh, in this sense, I'm talking about Apretude, cabotegravir, long-acting injectables for PrEP. But more importantly, as it relates to people living with HIV, long-acting injectables have been successful because it's focused on getting into your appointment, right? I think for prevention and I think for treatment, y'all tell me what you think for those that are taking long acting injectables, but it's much easier to be adherent to a doctor's appointment and making it to that doctor's appointment and getting your injection than having to be responsible every day for these. And I can tell you, as a Black gay man living with HIV, trying to like go to school full time, pursue my doctorate, but also pursue growth in my organization. A lot of times, like I forget these. Like I slip, I have mistakes, and so I feel much more comfortable going in every 2 months to get my injections, knowing that the medication's in there, it's absorbing, it's doing what it needs to do. I feel more comfortable with that. But I think we can't keep yakking what research is showing to be effective. We can't keep pushing back against innovation in HIV world because we need to have more options for people. And then I believe that if for those where long-acting injectables are medically indicated and make sense for the person, if we get more people on long-acting injectables, we'll see a shift. If we see more people of color, Black and brown folks, on long acting injectables, we will see a change in how Black and brown people are disproportionately affected by HIV. Uh, so that's just my thought. And you tell me what you think, but I really do push back against people who like have negative things to say about long acting injectables, or want to go with like on demand prep or 211. Again, that may be for folks that like can navigate their sexual health with like an on-demand prep like 211 modality, but the reality is for others who have like 18 million things going on in their life and may have other indications and why they can't stay adherent to it, benefit from other pieces like long acting injectables. So let's not yak other people's interest in pushing uptake of long acting injectables, but also let's not, you know, beat down people who are kind of like the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like some people say, like pill format is it's a tried and true method, and that's fine. That's cool. I totally support that. Got on a soapbox there, but ultimately things are going well with Cabenuva. It's been 2 years, and I'm just happy to see you again. I'm going to be making another video soon where I'm talking a little bit more about how things have been going working in the HIV field since I've been working in the field since 2012, and I've just had some thoughts, some developing thoughts around what it's like to be working in HIV for this long and best practices to be successful, but more importantly, my pain points with navigating like the supremacy that sits in this space, but then also people who are apathetic that still hold space in this work and would benefit the space by just moving on into pasture. But I'll talk about that soon. Other than that, all is well. School starts for me soon on June 16th, and I'm slowly working my way towards my doctorate. And then Pride Month is coming, and so I look forward to being out in community in Minnesota. And then I also have some events going on where I'll be in Colorado, or and then also Arkansas. So if you're in those areas and want to catch up, grab a drink, and just touch base, please reach out in the comments or reach out to me directly on my social medias. Other than that, take care. And remember, positivity is everything. Stay resilient. And more importantly, reach out if you need support. I feel like this channel is a community and we are all here together to, in the HIV epidemic, but more importantly, for those living with HIV, hold space to be able to just feel loved and seen. And so, uh, other than that, take care. Bye. Good seeing you.